Now, let's jump into the questions today. One easy question that I know the answer to, you know the answer to, or probably most people listening are going to know the answer to, but is there one perfect diet? And if there is or isn't, why or why not?
No, there's no one perfect diet. We are all biochemically different. We all respond to food differently. We all have different gut microbiomes. We have different cultural and social preferences, and we have different environmental preferences. So there's no one perfect diet for everyone. We respond to food differently. So even there was a time when a study was done on a set of twins, they found out that even though they had the same guts, they had the same genetic makeup, but they still responded to food differently because they had different gut microbiomes. So there's no one perfect diet. We respond to food differently.
So when we say different gut microbiome, can you break that down a little bit more for the audience?
Okay, like the gut is housed to trillions of bacteria, which make up your gut microbiome. You have your good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So that gut microbiome is different for everyone. So it depends on the kind of diet you're eating and your lifestyle. So everybody will have a different gut microbiome makeup. So that one can affect how you respond to food.
So what I'm hearing is that even though, like, for example, in the case of the twins, that study, even though they had the same parents, right, and born at the same time, the bacteria that's in their gut, that ecosystem in their gut of good and bad bacteria was different. Hence, how they respond to food is different. So that's why someone can say, oh, I went on keto and I lost all this weight and I did great. And somebody else can go on keto and it just completely doesn't work out. Because not just with gut bacteria, it's also your gut enzymes. If you have more lipase versus amylase, for example, to break down foods properly. So that's something that also plays a mixture in it too. So yeah, so having the right ecosystem is definitely right. Now, also you mentioned something about our environment, right? So were you talking about the external environment, or were you also talking about the gut environment?
We're talking about external environments as well, because for example, like it depends on where you're living. You can respond differently to the food, the climate. You may not be able to digest the food. Like there's some foods that are suited for the warmer climate, and some are suited for the colder climate. So if you bring that food, your body may struggle to digest the food in a warmer climate if the food is meant for a colder climate. So the environment plays a role in how you respond to food as well. An example also, if you also finish an exercise, it may also affect the way you respond to food. So there's so many things to take into consideration when it comes to the way you respond to food. So there's no perfect diet for everyone.
Right. So that makes sense. So let's say someone like I was born and raised in Jamaica, and the foods that we ate were different than the foods that are over here. So when I move over here, a lot of times what we do is we try to take those same foods and eat them because okay, we're in this, that's what we're used to. But you have to eat for the environment that you're in. Not saying that I'm not going to eat stuff that from Jamaica from time to time, but that can be a big part of your diet because you're physically in a different environment. That's why we talk about eating seasonally. Yeah. And even not just country to country, state to state. In Florida, I always say to people, I don't eat grapes from California because I don't live in California. Because and that's a big thing here. Like we import foods a lot. We're like, California grapes or wherever this come from. And then another part with the constant importing is that we get exposed to the same foods all year round. And we don't think about that, because we're importing food for warmer climates when we're in colder climates when we're not supposed to. And this also impacts our gut microbiome and our gut enzymes, right? So thank you so much for breaking that down. Now, let's go a little bit deeper now. Let's talk about the connection. Let's talk about movement, because I remember the last time we talked about movement, and I'm sure you have more stuff to add to this, right? So what are some connections between movement and weight loss?
Okay, as human beings, we are designed to move. We're not designed to be sedentary at all. Even just movement, like 15 minutes a day, just walking can help you to burn some calories. And I know, like, when it comes to weight loss, strength training is one of the most effective ways to lose fat because of what it can do for you to burn calories. You can get lean muscle mass. It also helps with your insulin system to work better. So there are different kinds of movements that you can do, but the most important thing is for you to move, because as humans, we are not designed to be sedentary. We are designed to move.
And when you say different types of movement, what do you mean?
Okay, like I know, like apart from even if you're doing exercise, that's fine. But even if, let's say for example you work out like 3 times a week, but you have to make sure that you're also moving the other days you're not working out, because you have to make sure you remain active. So it's not just the days you go to, maybe let's say if you go to the gym or you do workout at home, it's not only the days where you do your workouts in the gym or at home, you got to be moving every day. For example, you got to get up and move, just walk around, because you're not designed to just sit down, you're designed to move.
That's true. And that's something that we get lost with this, new year, new me kind of mentality, because we get into the gym and we're like, oh, I'm going to work out for an hour a day for 4 or 5 days a week or whatever. I'm like, okay, let's say, first of all, most people don't work out 7 days a week unless you're me and, just crazy or something. But, let's say you do, right? And you work out an hour a day. You still have 23 hours left. That 1 hour doesn't have as much impact on those 23 hours as you think. It does have an impact, but what you do in those 23 hours, if you work out and then you sit on the couch for the rest of the time, you're still not going to accomplish much. I mean, of course, outside of movement, there's sleep, there's nutrition, there's all these other factors, supplementation, all that stuff that plays into it, right? But the movement is important. Also, the type of movement, and I want to stress to my audience, because one of the biggest mistakes we make is we over cardio, we under strength train, and we hear that a lot. But what I want to add to that is that we don't do enough type 2 training. When the issue with cardio often is that when we do cardio, we try to push our heart rate as high as it possibly can go. That is one of the biggest mistakes that we make, because when you do that, you're taking it out of zone 2, which promotes fat oxidation, breaking down fat, and we move into zone 3 or zone 4, which promotes using carbs and sugars for energy, because you're overstressing your body at that point. So the goal of your training, of your cardio, most of your cardio should be done in zone 2. Bodybuilders do it a lot. Bodybuilders will get on the stepper and they will step on it for like 45 minutes, an hour. It's the most boring thing in the world, but they will do it. My friends make fun of me because I'll get on the bike at the gym and I'll call them just to have somebody on the phone while I'm on the bike, because I'm bored sitting there for like 30, 45 minutes or whatever. But it does its job. It really helps you to break down fats. So focus on strength training, but also make sure that you're adding in that zone 2 cardio. And then outside of that, try to get your 10,000 steps a day as well. Movement. I had one guy on the show, Captain Khaled is what we call him. And he lost, I think, was it 7 inches around his waist, and his A1C went down I think it was 6.5 to 5.5, I believe. And this was by taking 35,000 steps a day. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. That's a lot of steps. But what he did was, if he had to like read emails that he didn't have to respond to, he would take his laptop and walk around the pond or walk around the office or little stuff like that. Like if he's watching TV or something, he'll like move around. Like he found different ways to get his steps in, things that he, instead of just sitting on the couch. So adding all those things together, instead of just trying to outrun a bad diet, is going to be a better option for you.
Yeah.
I thought you had something to say, so I'll pause for a second.
No. I just want to go. No, it's not just like you said. It's not just what you do in the gym or what you do at home. Okay, you're going to be moving all the time. You're going to keep moving. Stay active all the time.
Yeah, like yard work. That helps you to burn calories, believe it or not. Is those things that you do outside. Constant movement is really what's going to make the difference. What you do in the gym is the icing on the cake, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about a topic I love to talk about, is DNA.
Okay.
My first question is, because we hear DNA, we hear genome, we hear all these words. What is DNA?
DNA is something that is found throughout all the cells in the body. And DNA is what contains your genes, your genetic code, which is unique for everyone. So inside the DNA, you have your genetic code, which is unique for everyone. So that's what DNA is. It's found throughout the cells.
So that means that, let's say the example of the twin that we're talking about, 2 twins are born. Are they born with two different types of DNA?
No, you have a DNA, but inside the DNA, you have your genes, your genetic code, which makes you unique. So obviously you get genes from, the twins will get genes from both parents, right? And let's say for example, there's a family history of heart disease, right, in the family. So maybe the twins will now inherit those genes from their parents. But the thing about that is that those genes can remain turned on or turned off. So for example, the food you eat talks to your DNA. It talks to your DNA and it either turns on the genes or it turns it off. So even if you inherited the genes for heart disease from your parents, it doesn't mean you will get heart disease. Those genes can remain turned on or turned off depending on the choices you make. in life.
So what I'm hearing is you're talking about epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Which, interesting enough, the CDC had an article on it. I can't seem to find it, but during COVID, I remember I was doing some research for one of my episodes, and I found the article from the CDC and it's talking about the importance of epigenetics, and they also list some scientific studies, but it's exactly what you're talking about, is turning certain genes on and off. It's basically saying that, okay, I'm at risk for such, like me, for example, asthma is something that basically almost everybody in my family struggle with, eczema. Well, guess what? I don't have those issues anymore. Why? By making epigenetic changes. The scientific studies are showing now that your gene expression is really, or genes, I should say, is really only responsible for like 10% or so of your illness. Most of it comes down to the habits that you have, hence your gene expression turned on and off based on the decision that you've made over time. I've had people say to me, I've been diabetic. I'm diabetic because everybody in my family is diabetic. I say, yeah, but you're also 40, 50 pounds overweight, and so is everybody else in your family. So you never made any choices whatsoever to reverse this, obviously. So hence you're going to still be diabetic. So, we kind of look at, I'm inherited. Like in Jamaica, people used to say, I heard people say, I'm big bone. That's why that's how I'm overweight. I'm just big bone. And I'm like, I don't care about your bone. I'm talking about your fat. Like what? But that's what was my joke response to that. But that's just an excuse. I'm big bone, but you still eat the same crap. Maybe you have a slower metabolism. Maybe you don't have the right gut environment that you should to break down foods properly. But if you make the right changes, you can definitely adjust that.
Yeah. There's a study I read a while ago about two brothers who there was a family history of heart disease. So they followed these two brothers from when they were young till they became adults, and they got married and had their own families. So what they found out was that for the first brother, his lifestyle, his job was very stressful. He smoked a lot. He drank a lot of alcohol. His diet was poor. He didn't do any exercise because he worked really hard. He ended up having heart disease, diabetes, and all that stuff. But the other brother, his own lifestyle was different. His job was less stressful. His diet was pretty good. He did some exercise. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink any alcohol. He didn't have any of those heart disease or diabetes. So even though both of them inherited both, even though those diseases ran in the family, one of them had it and one did not, based on the choices they made with their diet and lifestyle.
That's absolutely powerful, absolutely true. And I like that within that you say his diet was pretty good, because a lot of times we get tied up in this all or nothing mindset. It's not that, okay, I'm gonna eat lean chicken and broccoli the rest of my life and I'm gonna be healthy. And that's why it's important to work with an expert like Anne, because she explains all these things, how to eat for your DNA, your gene, turn on and off certain gene expression. And she get into the movement, to the importance that movement plays. And she talks about inflammation, oxidative stress, and all these other habits that play an importance in getting you what you're supposed to get, instead of just thinking, you know what, let me just try something, and if it doesn't work after a couple of weeks, let's go back to what I was doing before. It's not, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, number one. And then if you're going to do something, it's all about doing the right things. I cannot sit here and say I've never eaten fast food. I can't say I've never eaten fast food this year. Like, I really can't say that. My brother and I had a conversation yesterday. I was like, sometimes I'm rushing and I'll just grab something quick that's by me, because I train 7 days a week, so I have to eat all the freaking time. So, so it happens. It's part of life, but that's not close to being a majority in how I eat. And those are the things that we really have to look at. It's not about eat well, enjoy, and also by eating well over time, eating seasonally, eating natural foods and good foods as your gut environment changes, so will the foods that you like to eat will change. Because and we were talking about that before, like the gut bacteria, good healthy bacteria craves healthy prebiotic fiber. Bad bacteria craves sugars and things that you should not be eating anyway. And that's one thing that I tell people. If a lot of times we think we have a willpower problem with food, it's not a willpower problem, it's a gut problem. Once your gut is fixed and you have the right gut environment, your cravings will change.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, you're right. It's a gut problem, really.
Do you have anything to add to that, Anne?
Yeah, because if you have more of the bad bacteria than the good ones, if you have an imbalance called dysbiosis, you're going to crave more of the processed food, because you have more of the bad bacteria in you. But if you have more of the good bacteria in you, you're going to crave natural whole food, because that's what you want. So really, your choice is more than willpower. You can't ignore your gut. You have to look at the state of your gut when it comes to things like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing that. And now that being said, we're coming up to the hack of the episode. But before I do the hack of the episode, everyone, I'm going to talk to you about Heal. You see, Heal is 100% science-backed essential amino acid formulation designed to reduce recovery times and improve physical function by accelerating muscle repair while helping you to maintain a healthy inflammatory response. I love to talk about healthy inflammatory response because when we train, we naturally create inflammation. So Heal helps you to respond well to that inflammation, aka can also help with reducing some of that soreness too. You see, the EAA profile of Heal was originally developed to help NASA astronauts maintain muscle mass in space, and then it was refined to help everyday people like myself who are experiencing prolonged periods of inactivity, meaning that Heal helps you post-workout, but also during times of inactivity as well to help you to heal and perform better and to maintain your muscle mass. I drink Heal every day, usually twice a day, one post-workout, like within an hour, and the next later on in the day as well. The formulation is so brilliant because not only does it have the perfect EAA profile, not BCAAs, but EAA profile, but whey protein concentrate along with creatine, which just about everyone in the business knows is great for anyone who lifts weights, right? Or should I say strength train. A recent clinical trial compared 1 scoop and 2 scoop amounts of Heal with high quality whey protein, and they measured the whole body protein synthesis and breakdown. And the response to Heal was found to be 3 times larger than whey protein on a gram to gram basis. Again, because it's not just because of whey protein concentrate, but it also has the creatine and the right EAA profile, where it helps to improve your body's response to it. So visit aminoco.com/ZecoHealth. You can get 30% off all the amino-based products, including our Perform, which I talk about as well. And the link to the website will be in the description of the episode. And with that being said, we're coming back to Ann, or we're going to have the hack of the episode. So, Ann, and we kind of hint on this already, but put this in a nice, pretty bowl from our audience, right? How does food communicate with our DNA?
Okay. The DNA is found in every cell in the body. And your DNA has your genetic code, which is unique to everybody. So the food you eat talks to your DNA, and it turns your genes on and off. So your genes does not determine your future. So for example, maybe there's a family history of heart disease or family history of diabetes. So you may have those genes in you, which you inherited from your family. But it doesn't mean, so the food choices you make can either turn on those genes or turn them off. So the food you eat is more than just calories. It's more than just micronutrients and macronutrients. The food you eat is information. It talks to your DNA and it turns genes on or off. So even if you have a family history of a certain disease, it doesn't mean you will have it. It depends on your choices. Those genes can remain turned on or they can remain turned off depending on the food choices you make, and also your lifestyle as well.
So does that mean then, is it a thing of kind of calculating, okay, I need to eat this food to prevent this disease kind of thing? Or is it more like I need to eat more seasonally clean, healthy foods for to be in the best health I can be?
That's it. You need to eat more seasonal, healthy food. You just need to eat healthy. There's no perfect diet. You cannot be perfect all the time. You got to try 80% of the time eat well. 80% of the time eat natural, healthy, whole food. Natural. It's not about everybody's different. You can be vegan, you can be vegetarian. There's no perfect diet for everyone. I won't say this is a perfect diet. No, you got to listen to your body. But as long as what you're eating is natural, is whole, and is healthy, go for one single nutrient fruit. So for example, avocado, there's no label on it. Fish, there's no label on it. Meat, there's no label on it. Strawberries, there's no label on it. So go for things like that compared to all the food that are all processed with lots of ingredients in them.
Right, because when you process food, not only you're robbing it of some of the nutrients that comes with it naturally, you're also adding in the things that don't come naturally, which your body is not designed to break down in high amounts, right? You'd even seen on my page where I put up, this such and such is banned in certain countries because it's shown to promote, cancer or, different types of diseases and stuff. And the thing is, I live in the US where we eat these things all the time. I know it happens in different places of the world. I'm not even just talking about the US. we eat these things all the time, and then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I have this. Oh my God, I can't believe I have that. And the doctor's like, okay, maybe put you on some prescription and see what happens or whatever, without addressing the fact that you're still eating the crap that's causing the issue. I mean, I had someone one time that mentioned like we're fasting, and he's like, well, fasting is just about calories. I said, well, no, it's not just about calories. If you're talking about weight management, that's one piece. But fasting also helps with resetting the gut microbiome. It helps with cellular autophagy, which is cleaning up the body, because at that point the body has no choice but to do that. It helps with lowering inflammation, oxidative stress. Give Zoe, one of the largest, actually they run the largest nutritional studies in the world. I had their scientists on the show, and he mentioned that most people struggle with health because they're always in a post-digestive state, meaning that they're always eating. Their body never gets that break. And I've broken down on my shorts. I said, like, fasting, for example, doesn't mean you have to wait until 2 o'clock to eat. I don't even do that. What I do is, other than my maybe 24-hour fast from time to time, but what I do is I finish my last meal 3 hours before bed. I add in my sleeping time, 7 to 8 hours, usually about 8 hours or so, 9 hours if I'm feeling froggy. And then I add a few hours when I wake up, and then that's my fast is over. So if I wake up at, let's say, 6:30, I may not eat till about 10. And that's how I do my fast. I do the big difference is I give my time break before bed, added my sleeping hours, and I wait a few hours the next morning. I brought that down to someone one day, and she said, I fast and I didn't even know. I said, exactly, because people thinking about you have to wait till 2-3 o'clock in the evening to fast. Who does that? Especially if you have a busy lifestyle and you train, right? But epigenetics is those things you're talking about. It's one of those big habits that can help you that can help you. And it seems you have something on the tip of your tongue as well.
No, even like when it comes to fasting, that's what I do with my clients. I normally tell them it's an eating window. You need to have an eating window, where the window when you start eating and the window when you stop eating. Like obviously the window where you stop, you have to like try and stop 3 hours before you go to bed, so the body has time to digest the food before you go into bed. And then you now have the window where you start. So it's good for the window. It's good for your eating window to be shorter than the window you're not eating. So the body has time to clean up. Your body has time. Your gut has time to rest. Because when you keep eating all the time, your gut has no time. Your gut doesn't get a break, which is not really healthy. So
Right.
fasting is really good.
And then the thing with the stop eating kind of thing people don't understand is when you eat, your body naturally raises its core temperature, which makes it hard for you to fall asleep and stay asleep, because your core temperature is higher in the process of digestion. So that's one of the importance of stop eating 3 hours before bed. So because your core temperature needs to drop so your body can naturally create melatonin and can help you to sleep as well. And with that being said, and deliver some banging information as always. Your boy's gonna have her on here for a number 3. I don't know, it's probably next year, but she's gonna be here for a number 3, and we're gonna talk about this stuff again. And I didn't even ask her, but I'm gonna guilt her into doing it because that's just how I do. And with that being said, Anne, tell my audience how can they learn more about your work and get in touch with you as needed.
I've got a website. It's www.awisconutrition.com. And you can also find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Awisco Nutrition. I'm on Facebook as well, Awisco Nutrition. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Awisco Nutrition. So you can find me on my website and on my social media handles.
Perfect. And of course, her contact information will be in the show notes. And you know what? The last time I think I did the show notes, zecohealth.com/Ann or Anyia. I don't quite remember anymore. But going forward, I'm just going to do zecohealth.com/Awesco Nutrition. And then the next one's going to be Awesco Nutrition 2, and then it's going to be Awesco Nutrition 3, and so on and so forth. So I think we'll get to Awesco Nutrition 100 or something. But that's what it's going to be. The show notes will be in the description of the episode. And so you can click on it, get her information, and learn more about her work and be one of her clients who rave about her work. And with that being said, Anne, thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Thank you. Bye.